So welcome everybody tonight. We're going to be talking about all things Google Maps optimization, how to help your practice rank higher in Google Maps, which is a big deal in terms of finding new patients or new patients being able to find you and choose you as their dentist. Len Tao has invited me into this webinar, and I've invited him, I guess. I don't know. It's a mutual invite, I guess. But he and I have known each other for a really long time. And so we're old time friends. We see each other all over the place. And I'll do a little introduction on you then, Len, for the people that are attending that are kind of our followers. We've both kind of promoted this webinar into our respective followers, My Social Practice clients and people who follow My Social Practice, and Len's also shared this with a lot of people that follow his company. But Len is like the OG gangster when it comes to reviews and Google Maps marketing. He's been in it since the beginning and has been a leader in helping dentists understand how to improve your reputation and how to be chosen as the premier dentist in their area. He has an event called the Supercharge Your Practice. Is it Supercharge Your Practice? Is that the name of it again?
Supercharge Your Dental Practice.
Supercharge Your Dental Practice. That just knocked the socks off everybody last year. It was kind of a marketing event, and he's doing that again this year in, give us the date on that.
Scottsdale, Arizona, September 27th and 28th. Today is at the Scott Resort and Spa. 13 speakers, all on marketing, business, leadership, the financial part of the business as well.
So if you have somebody that you have an employee, or if you're really interested in learning kind of the new trending and like the kind of cutting edge strategies in dental marketing, that is a really good event to go to. I'll be there as well and excited to attend. And then you also have the Raving Patients brand as well. Do you want to talk about that really quick?
Yeah, so I've obviously been helping practices with their online reputation and practice growth for a really long time. I'm all about making patients the happiest they can be. So they want to talk about you online and they want to refer others to you. So my brand is Raving Patients. I have a very large Facebook group, which some of you are in, called Raving Patients. I have a podcast called the Raving Patients Podcast. I've written a book called Raving Patients. So that's what I'm all about, is I'm making the patients your raving fans and wanting them to talk about you online. So that's really what I'm about.
And he's fantastic at it. So one of the best speakers in the industry. So anyway, that's Len Tao. And Len, when did you sell your practice, and when did that happen?
Sold my practice in October of 2021. I'd moved to Florida already, and I worked for the new owner as the associate till December of 22. And then so I retired in 22. So it's been a little over a year since I've had my hands in someone's mouth.
Cool. All right. So that's Len. Do you want to say anything about yourself?
No, I think you got everything that could say about me. So
other than you got a really cool necklace on that has a skull. It's like I don't know, it's Onin or something like that. Anyway, all right.
It's a skull. It's David Yerman. So well, let me introduce you. For those that don't know, Adrian is the CEO of My Social Practice. He's a seasoned expert in the dental marketing industry as well, with 14 years of experience. He is actually one of my speakers at Supercharge Your Dental Practice, where he's going to be talking about AI and how AI can be used in marketing. He is widely recognized for his engaging and informative presentations, which is one of the reasons why I'm having him speak at my events. He's based in Utah. He shares his life with his wife, 4 children, and a lively mix of pets. My Social Practice is a leading dental marketing company, and Adrian is passionate about helping dental professionals succeed in this dynamic field. We're a very close-knit space, and it's I'm just excited to be able to share he's going to do most of the talking. I'm going to be here listening and chiming in every so often, but I'm excited to have him as part of my webinar series.
Thank you, Len. Appreciate it, man. So Kylie Kayella, if I said your name right, I hope I said that right. He says your chat is disabled. Just use the Q&A if you can't chat, because the Q&A is good to go. I've tried to turn that on for you, but anyway. So if you have questions, use the Q&A, and we'll either stop at the end and we'll have a Q&A at the end, or if it's a question that's pertinent to what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about, I'll stop and address that questions as I go. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and we will go. All right, let me play on this. All right, are we good? You see everything okay?
Great.
All right. I'm just going to skip through the first few slides really quick. This is just a little bit about my social practice. This presentation is a part of a 3-hour presentation that I do when I'm asked to come out and speak about how to optimize your business listing. And usually not nobody, but many people don't know who my social practice is. So I'll just take a couple quick slides to introduce you to my social practice if you're not aware. So we've been in the dental industry for 14 years, offering dental marketing services. We work with this philanthropic group, the Whiten Your Smile, Help a Child, or the Smiles for Life campaign. I don't know if any of you've heard about this, but it's an organization it's a collaboration between Ultradent, the Crown Council, and My Social Practice, and we have helped to raise over 48. Actually, we just hit $50 million in funds that we are then donated to local and national children's charities. But it's basically Ultradent offers their whitening supplies for free. The doctors that participate, they also basically waive their fees, and all the funds that are paid by the patient are then donated. So we've been involved in that. We've worked with lots of practices, almost over 7,000 practices in North America now. We help practices get Google reviews, and Len's going to talk a little bit about that because I'm going to make him talk a little bit about Google reviews. But we've helped people get Google reviews and improve their reputation, as well as we have an incredible social media product, and we've helped our practices gain over 2.7 million followers. So through really great engaging content. We also have an event that we put on every year. We're actually pausing in 2024 and restarting it in 2025, but we've had 9 years of this. It'll be the 10th year in 2025. And this is similar to Len's event, the Supercharge Your Dental Practice event, where it's all about marketing, super trending, kind of cutting edge ideas that if you have a marketing manager that really needs to know what's working, you can send them this event. Anyway, so we won't have it this year, but it'll be next year. So, all right. A little bit about my social practice. So we're going to talk about some strategies that you can do here in this year. And actually, the slides that I have in this, I've got mobile phone examples. So you can follow along. About halfway through this, I'm going to go into some like ways that you can get into your Google business profile on your cell phone while we're in the webinar, and you can make some updates to your Google business profile. So we can actually do it while we're here in the webinar. So there's some action-oriented stuff in this. So, but before we jump into it, I want you to understand how the Google Maps product works, and also how the listings how they rank. So, because I need to bring some context into like how that is all structured. There's a lot of misinformation out there about how it works. And so I want to start there. So one of the first things, this is interesting. So if you're looking to like rank higher on the Google Maps, you can do this a couple different ways. You could do what this dentist did, which means he called his practice Dentist Near Me. That's the name of his practice, right? Because one of the highest search phrases is dentist near me, help me find a dentist near me or something like that, right? That's what a lot of people will do when they go to Google on their phone or on their desktop. So this guy had this brilliant idea to just call his practice Dentist Near Me. Now the context doesn't make any sense. It's kind of weird. It's awkward, but he's ranking really high. I've got a San Antonio search. He's El Paso, Texas. When you go to El Paso, Texas, at least last time I checked, and you search dentist near me, he's all over the top search engine. Now, that's not something you want to do, because all Google has to do, excuse me. By the way, I woke up with a head cold, and so I have a little bit of a cough, so I apologize. All that Google has to do is see that this guy's kind of gaming the system and push a button and it's all gone. And now he's got a practice named Dentist Near Me that doesn't rank. So this is not the way to do it, but it's a kind of a funny example of trying to rank on the Google map, right? So we'll skip over that. All right. So when you when you do a search, here we go. Okay, so there are two types of searches that a patient will do or a consumer will do. They're discovery searches and direct searches. Okay. Um, that's just a category of kind of like encompasses all types of search. So if someone goes online and they search your name, the name of your practice, or if I search Dr. Len Tao, I'm searching, that's called what's called a direct search. And when you do a direct search, Google, their algorithm knows what you're looking for, and what they present to you in the search result is what you want. So what you're going to find is that practice's website, which is that top listing there, their health grades account, a share care, a Yelp listing. Over on the right, what that's called the knowledge graph. That information comes from your Google business profile, but it's exactly what I want, right? I'm searching for Allen Family Dental. You don't have to do a lot of SEO optimization in order to show up when somebody's doing a direct search. I mean, it's just Google's kind of really smart about helping somebody searching for something to find what they want to find. So these are kind of easy play. I mean, somebody's searching for you, then you're good to go with direct searches. They're going to find your website and your knowledge graph. The Google business profile is your listing inside of the Google database. And the knowledge graph here, let me go back, sorry. The knowledge graph here on the right, that information does not come from your website. It comes from your Google business profile. It's the listing, okay? And you can, on the map, you can click into the map and you can go in and you can find out exactly where that location is located with the map, right? We've all done this, see all the information about the practice and so forth. So that's basically a direct search and what the Google business profile is inside of the Google Maps directory. Now, there's also discovery searches. A discovery search is dentist near me, dentist in Salt Lake, dentist that's not painful, you know, whatever that dentist that offers crowns, whatever it might be. That's where they're searching for something, but they're trying to discover, they're trying to get an answer. Okay. And a discovery search, you'll find that it almost always pops the map. And there'll be the map on the right, there'll be the listings on the left, and the top 3 listings are on that front page. There's also a place for an ad. You can advertise in that section as well. So there's a maximum of 4 listings on that page. But the top 3, if you remove the ad that's at the top there, and the top 3 listings have optimized their listings so that they're ranking well for whatever search phrase it might be. And these 3 practices get a massive amount of phone calls and traffic to their website, like unbelievable, like 3 to 4, maybe 5 times as many phone calls as somebody that's the 4th listing. It's huge. And it's simply because 3 listings is enough for a consumer to go, okay, which one should I choose? I think I'll call them. Your reviews play into that. If you got a lot of reviews, you're going to get a phone call. So these 3 listings are like uber important when it comes to building your practice and generating new patients and attracting new patients to you. So this is just another search, same idea, dentist near me, pops the map, okay? All right, now let me show you how this works. It's not as intuitive as it might seem. So down in the bottom of this is a screenshot of where I live, okay? Down in the bottom in that red circle down there, that's my house, okay? I live up on a mountain. You have to drive down the mountain and then you get into the valley of Salt Lake. This is Draper, Utah, if you know Draper. I'm sitting in my living room or in my office. I'm on my computer and I'm taking this screenshot, and I basically I wanted to see how well the practices that were near me were ranking. Okay. Now the 4 practices that are closest to my actual home, right there, are these four practices: Spangler and Tullis, Marcus, Welch, and Matthew Smile Dental. All of these guys are about 4 to 4.5 miles away from my house. Off the backside of my house, it's a long ways before you get to a town. So these are the real, like they're the closest practices to my home. Okay. So what I did is I did all these searches. Okay. Now these are just screenshots of 8 different searches that I did. And I hope you can see the search phrases. They're kind of small, but I'll read them just so that if you can't see them. The top left says dental cleaning near me, then dental clinic near me, best dentist near me, dentist near me, dental implants near me, family dentist near me, emergency dentist near me, and dental crowns near me. And I could have kept going, okay? But I just did these 8. And you would think that because I'm using the near me phrase, that one of those 4 practices would show up high in the rankings, right? None of them do. Well, except for one guy. This guy, Jeffrey Welch, shows up one time for dentist near me, and nobody's going to call him because he doesn't have any reviews. So why is that? That's kind of weird, right? I'm asking Google, give me a practice that's closest to me, and the 4 practices that are closest to me don't even show up in the search. This is not uncommon. This happens all the time. Patients searching for your practice are not finding your practice, even though you're the closest practice to them. They're finding somebody that's further away. And it's because of the optimization that we're going to be talking about. There was one practice that showed up more than everybody, and that's this practice, Draper Parkway Dental. They showed up 4 times in the top 3 listings out of those 8 searches, and they are located 7.5 miles away. So for some reason, Google's favoring that practice as a practice that should show up more often for me than any other practice in the area. It's kind of weird. Okay. Kind of a screwy situation. It doesn't, when business owners find out that this is possible, they kind of get a little agitated, because you would think that if you're closest to, your patients and your neighborhoods that are right around your practice, they should be finding your practice, not somebody else's. So, I went back and I did some additional searches, but I did this time I did in Draper, because I'm in Draper, the town. Because usually a patient will search a near me search, or they'll do a in city state location. So these were dental clinic in Draper, Utah, family dentistry in Draper, Utah, dentist in Draper, Utah, so on and so forth. And he showed up 7 out of the 8 times. So this particular practice was ranking better than anybody else in the area, and he's pretty far away from me. So how does that happen? Let me show you how this happens. So this is VP Dental. They're down in Raleigh. This is a client of ours. We've been working with them for a few years, and I'm going to show you kind of how they rank for particular phrases. Okay. If I were standing at that location where that lady's at, about 1.5 miles northwest of the practice. So the practice is located on that center red pin. That's where they're at. If I'm standing where she's at, I pull my phone out and I search dentist near me or dentist. And then I look and I count down on the map to see where VP Dental's at. They're number 2 on the list. They're the second listing. But if I go 1.5 miles southeast, and I'm standing where that gentleman's at, and I pull my phone out and do the same thing, they're 13th. So why is it that if I'm 1.5 miles away this direction, I rank second on the map, but I'm not ranking in the same distance in another direction? So the reason is because the way that Google ranks these is based upon, one, not necessarily exactly where you're located, but where the person is searching from. And they're also looking at competition, population density, the types of keywords that you're trying to rank for, and so forth. So it's not like a perfect radius around your practice that you're ranking. It doesn't work that way. Every single time we've looked at this, it's always funky. It's a little bit different for everybody. So the only way to really figure out where you're ranking, like where people are actually seeing you on the front page of the Google map, is if you were to take your phone and drive around town doing searches says dentist near me, and then counting down on the map to see where you're located, which is ridiculous. Nobody's going to do that. So what we have done is we have a tool that we use that allows us to tell Google, hey, I want you to run a search as if I'm standing at this latitude and longitude, and tell me how many positions down in the Google map is so-and-so's practice. Okay. So what this is every single one of these little these little colored dots is where VP Dental ranks as if you're standing at that location and you pulled your phone out. And they're each a half a mile apart from each other. So this is about a 6.5 mile wide and wide and top to bottom. It's about a 3 to 3.5 mile radius ish around the practice. Okay. So for the word dentist, you can see they're only ranking on the front page within a maybe a half a mile of their practice. And then that's gone. Anybody else is not going to find them on the front page of the Google map. And virtually no one clicks through and chooses practices that are not on the front page. Like it's somewhere around the tune of like 80-90% of patients will choose somebody right off that front page. It's pretty high. Okay. So that's, I hope that makes sense. But basically, every one of these we call these heat maps, is what we call them, Google heat maps. And what'll happen is every time you run these for a practice, you can run them for different keywords, and you'll get different maps, right? Like they're not going to rank for the word, say, smile makeover or Invisalign or dental implants in the same way that they're ranking for dentists. So you can run multiple heat maps for different keywords. Okay. Len, do you want to? I know you've seen these, you've used them before. Do you want to? Is there anything I missed on that you want to pop? You good? Okay.
No, this is, I mean, I talk about this during my seminars. I mean, these reports really tell a story as to your visibility online. If you are wondering why a practice or why your practice is struggling to get new patients locally, this may be a big reason why.
Yeah.
So myself and Adrian have access to the software that does these reports, and I'm sure Adrian will be more than happy to show you what you look like online. But this is a very telling story about how busy your practice can be. The more visible you are, the more new patients that come into the practice.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Len. Thank you. So for example, if there's a new area where there's new home building, or if there are a few neighborhoods that are maybe the type of patient that you're wanting to attract, this is a good report to run to see if when those people are sitting in their kitchen and they do a search or on their phone, are you even visible to them? Okay. And once you've known that, then you can actually do the SEO to help affect how you rank in these areas. It gives you some direction about how to actually optimize. So I'll give you one example of what can happen with this. So this is another client of ours, Adrian Hancock. He's been an endodontist for all 25 years, maybe 30 years. He's been doing it for forever. He's been in the business. And he came to us, and his listing showed him as a dentist, not an endodontist. Okay. So he'd been in business for probably 15 years, 20 years or so. And as the listing category, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it said as he's a dentist, not an endodontist. Now, that's a problem, right? He's an endodontist. He doesn't want dental clients. So on day one, this is where he was ranking for the word endodontist. So you can see, even though he hadn't done any optimization and he had his listing was set up incorrectly, he was still showing up for the word endodontist, but in a very small area. We fixed that. We did a whole bunch of optimization. And after 6 months, this is where he's ranking. He's number one for the word endodontist for quite a ways. And then at day 365, what I've done in this map is I've actually scaled, I've made it larger. Okay. So the first two maps, and the one on the left and the middle, are about a 3.5 mile radius. This one is a 6 mile radius. So I've doubled the size. So you can kind of see he's ranking down to the southeast for 20 miles on the front page. So, and this tripled his phone calls, and not only just new patients, he was getting calls from dentists who had never referred to him before, because some of the dentists were literally just going to Google, doing a search and saying, here's my recommended practice, which is crazy, right? So he was getting new referral partners and he was getting new patients because patients do nowadays search for endodontic keywords and so forth. Anyway, this is what the optimization can do. It can end up helping you rank really, really well. So, all right, I'm going to jump into some tips and tricks and strategies. But if you want me to run some of these heat maps for your practice, you can screenshot that or just pull your camera up and do the QR code. It'll take you to a form. Tell me who you are, where your practice is at, and then myself or Jake or Liam or one of us will give you a call back and find out what keywords you want. We'll run a whole bunch of reports for you, show you where you're ranking, where you're not ranking, and if there's any help that we can give that we think we can provide. Okay. So anyway, that's that. And there's no cost. We'll just do it and then we can talk about it. All right. So let's talk about how to start optimizing. Okay. So this is I'm because I'm gonna cut this off in about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I have a whole presentation. I will email it to everybody that's registered. That is a whole hour of just editing and updating and what to do to your listing. I'm going to probably get through the first 2 or 3 tips and tricks, and then I'll email you a video recording, another webinar that we did that's a little bit more in depth. So if you're interested in going further and doing more optimization, I'll give you the webinar recording. All right. The first thing you have to do is you need to make sure that if you're the dentist, I'm speaking to dentists now, that you're the owner of your listing. So listings can have a primary owner, owners, and managers. My recommendation is that the dentist should be the primary owner. You can make anybody else on your team that you want to have, you want them to have access to your listing, an owner or a manager, okay? But you want to own it, okay? And when you sell your practice, you basically hand off the listing with it. That's typically what happens. So we need to find out if you're the owner of the listing. So what you got to do is you got to download the Google Maps app. It's this one, not this one. And I'm pointing at these two right here. So the one on the left is Google Maps. The one on the right is Apple Maps. And I know people don't know the difference because every time I talk about this, people open up the Apple Maps thinking that it's Google Maps. We're talking about Google Maps, not Apple Maps. So you have to download this app. If you have an Android phone, it's already on your phone. If you have an Apple phone, you'll have to download it. But you got to make sure you download this app. So go ahead and just download it as we're talking, okay? Once you've downloaded this one, the Google Maps app, then what you're going to do is you're going to open up the app and you're going to go and search your practice, the name of your practice. So I've got an example here of me searching for my social practice, the name of my company. And I am logged in on my phone to a Google account that is one of the owners of that listing. And so I can go and I can edit it right there. I can just get on my phone and I can update it and make edits and everything. The way that I know that is there's a little check mark that says you manage this business profile. You'll see that. If you don't see that, you are not logged in to a Google account that is an admin or an owner or a manager of your listing, and you have to do that. You have to be in the correct account. And of all the 100 things you can do in terms of like optimizing your listing, this is literally the most difficult one. Everybody gets stuck here. Nobody knows how to find their listing and how to get into it. So I'm going to walk, some of you on the call may be stuck. I'm going to walk through some of the typical problems that are here, but if you're already in, just hang tight and we'll get to some of the optimization here in a second. So if you've downloaded the app, you search your practice, you do not see that you're you manage the listing, then here's what you do. Clear out your name out of the search box, and you'll see up in the top right-hand corner, so you're still in Google Maps, but you don't have anything in the search bar. You'll see on the right-hand side of the search bar a little icon that's the Google account you're currently logged into, okay? If you click on that, it'll allow you to change the Google account you're logged into, or you can add one. So if you don't see any others there, and you know that there's another Google account that you control or that you have that is the list, that is the owner or the manager of the listing, then you can add another account by clicking add another account. You got to know your passwords, obviously, to get in, or maybe you got facial recognition with it, but you're going to have to add that account. You have to be logged into that account. Okay. I'm going to skip through those two. Now, if you're stuck here, if you're stuck there and you can't get into your account and you don't know the Google account that is the owner of your listing, here's a way to figure it out. Go on a desktop computer, search the name of your business, and then over on the right-hand side where there's the knowledge graph, there's a little link that says own this business. It's asking own this business. If you click on that, it'll give you a partial email address of the person who is the owner, the primary owner of the listing. And you should be able to recognize that email address. Okay. If you don't recognize that email address, then you need to call me. There's several other steps, and it's a pain in the butt, and we'll help you out. I'm happy to help out. But this will give you the Google account that's the primary owner. The primary owner can add other owners, they can add managers. So this is what you're trying to figure out. Okay. Which Google account is it that you need to be logged into in order to get to the editing panel of your listing? All right. Go ahead. You can say something, Len?
No.
All right. This is my email. If you're stuck here, you have no idea, just shoot me an email and I'll see if I can figure it out for you. Okay. I'm happy to help. Adrian at My Social Practice. All right. Assuming that we're logged in, okay, what you're going to want to do is check the owners and managers of your listing. So you do that by, and this is an example of my brother-in-law. He's an orthopedic surgeon. So I'm sharing his information here, but up in the top right-hand corner. So when you're logged into Google Maps, you search the name of your practice. There's 3 little dots. You click on those dots and it'll pop up this panel. And you click on business profile settings and then managers. And once you click on managers, it'll show you who has access to your listing. There might be people in there that still don't work for you anymore, or maybe you want to give access to somebody that doesn't have access. This is where you do it. Okay. But I would recommend that the dentist is the primary owner, or the dentist's boss, their spouse, is the primary owner. And then maybe you have a manager or an owner that's maybe your office manager, or anybody else in the practice that would need to get in and add or edit or have access to this. Okay. So that was the 3 dots, business profile settings, managers. Okay. 2, check your primary category. How important is the primary category, Len? Go.
Primary category is super important. It is one of the most important ranking factors. As you mentioned before, there was someone who was an endodontist who was listed as a dentist, which is a problem because when people search for endodontist, it's more difficult to find the person.
Right.
So when you search for your Google My Business page, it's going to say what your primary category is. You want it to be, in my opinion, dentist. Okay. Unless you're a specialist. And then you have periodontist, or you have oral surgeon, or, endodontist in that sense. I would not use cosmetic dentist unless all you do is cosmetic dentistry. I would not use dental clinic unless you're in Canada, because they don't refer to dental offices in the US as dental clinics, it's dental offices. So I would use the word dentist. There are a ton of secondary categories that you can add, but the primary category is one of the biggest ranking factors right now.
Yep. Thank you, Len. All right. Let me show you how to do this. So actually, I'm going to show you a few examples of how this works, okay, and how impactful it can be. So this is this Dr. Kakish, is in San Diego. He has 2 listings. He has a practice listing and a practitioner listing. Okay. We can talk about that some other time, but basically he has 2 listings, one for the practice and one for himself. Both of these, so the practice is called San Diego Surgical Arts. He's a oral surgeon as well as a dentist, and does a lot of like Botox and cosmetic procedures. And So he has his oh, excuse me, hold on. Sorry, I got lost. Okay, sorry. I was skipping forward too fast. So we've got San Diego Surgical Arts Clement Kakish. The search term for these two heat maps is oral surgeon. So when I ran these, I ran it for oral surgeon, or like oral surgeon near me is basically what this report would pull. He's not ranking anywhere for his practice for oral surgeon, but he's ranking pretty darn well for oral surgeon on his practitioner listing. And the reason why is because his primary category on his practice is surgical center, and his primary category on his practitioner listing is oral surgeon. So because the search phrase is oral surgeon and his listing for his practitioner listing is oral surgeon, Google makes that connection because that's his primary category, right? You would think that there would be, well, maybe you wouldn't think, I don't know. There'd be some kind of crossover with this, but there's not. That primary category is significant in terms of how a listing ranks, okay? Here's some other examples. So Lakeside Dental. On the left, we have cosmetic dentist is the search phrase. And on the right, we have dentist, but their primary category is cosmetic dentist. So you can see that they're ranking better for cosmetic dentist than dentist, right? And this is there's a point that Len made about the cosmetic, don't use cosmetic dentist as your primary category, and rather than dentist. And I'll talk about that in a little minute. I agree with him. So here's another one. This is Island Dental. Their primary category is dental clinic. They're in America, right? They're not in Canada. When you search dental clinic, they rank really, really well. You search dentist, they don't rank anywhere except for that they're 8th on that little tiny spot there. Well, the only problem with dental clinic is nobody searches the word dental clinic. No one, right? So they might be ranking really well, but they're not getting any traffic because nobody searches dental clinic. Okay. And then here's an example of expanding and contracting this heat map, right? You can run it as a smaller, zoom in, you can pull out. So this is Periodontal Health and Professionals, Dr. Childers. On the left, we've got periodontist at a 3.5 mile grid. On the right, we got periodontist at a 6 mile grid, right? So it's just zoomed in, zoomed out. So you can kind of like zoom in and zoom out and see where you're ranking. So let's talk about how to change this primary category. Okay, you're in Google Maps, you've searched your practice, there's a button in there called Edit Profile. You'll see it below, right on the towards the top there. You click on Edit Profile, you go to Business Information, and then you'll see Business Category right there. Now, this is my listing for my social practice, and I've got 4 categories in there. But we don't have this is not a good example for my social practice because we don't actually have a physical location. We all we're remote. So it doesn't really matter what we do. But for a practice, we have a physical location, it does. These are the categories that you can choose from in the Google database. So when you're in there and you're changing your category, these are the only ones that relate to dentistry, okay? So to Len's point, the amount I had one client in Vegas who wanted only cosmetic patients, and they were listed as dentist, and they didn't want to just get they wanted cosmetic patients, and they didn't need lots of new patients. They actually were slammed and had no openings for new patients. So what they were doing is trying to scale back a little bit. That was a situation where I recommended that they put cosmetic dentist maybe as their first category. But the problem with that is, and I explained this to them, is that the search volume for the word dentist is about 10 times as high as cosmetic dentist. And a lot of consumers, they don't know that they're searching for a cosmetic service when they search the word dentist. They might be looking for veneers, but they search dentist near me, right? Or they might be looking for whatever, whatever cosmetic, Invisalign, but they search dentist near me or orthodontist near me. So if you put something ahead of, if you're a GP and you're tempted to put, say, dental implants provider as your primary category, because you want more dental implant patients. The problem is the search volume for dental implants is minuscule compared to how many people use the word dentist. So my recommendation is always dentist is the number one primary category. If you're a GP, if you're a specialist, use the category that is your specialty. And then if you happen to have other associates in the office, or there's more than one doctor and you have a specialist, you can add a second or maybe a third category. I would try and stick to two. So dentist, orthodontist, dentist, dental implants provider, something like that. Len, do you want to comment on that at all?
No, I agree. I mean, you can add other ones, but the the main one and the secondary and tertiary ones are probably the ones you should only worry about.
I tried to optimize like a few years ago when I started doing this optimization. I maxed it out. You can put a ton of them in there. You can put 7, 8, 9, 10 in there. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to put everything in. But what happened is we saw that they stopped ranking well for the primary category. So it just turns into milk toast after a while. It just gets really limp and it doesn't do anything. So I would stick to 2, 3 at the most, and go from there. If somebody is wanting to rank for more terms, then we could probably talk about getting your practitioner listing up and running and optimized. So you have a practice listing and a practitioner listing, and you can set those up differently, kind of like Clement Kakish did, where he has a surgical center, and then he has one that's an oral surgeon. That's a better way to try and reach a wider audience by ranking for more keywords, is to just optimize both of your listings. Okay. So that's that. 3, update your service areas. So the service area section in your Google Business Profile, you go to Edit Profile, Business Information, Locations, and you'll see this service area section. And believe it or not, you can put up to 20 areas in this section. I have yet to run into somebody, but I haven't looked. I'm sure Len didn't make this mistake, but I've yet to look at a Google Business Profile account that hasn't been optimized where all 20 of them are filled out. There's always just one. Google understands that you draw patients from many different areas into your practice. A lot of businesses are that way. Excuse me. So fill out all 20 areas. Okay, because if they're not in there, then you're less likely to show, your listing is less likely to show up in that area when somebody's searching from that area. But there's a little bit of a strategy to this that I'm going to kind of guide you on. So when you add an area, we start typing it in, it'll autofill. So you can't just make up the areas. The areas are already there. And so you just it'll autofill. So you can start typing them in as you're on your phone, right? As we're talking, and you can start adding some of the areas that you want to rank in. But here's the trick, okay? So when you look at those heat map reports that I was showing you before, okay, the best way to send a message to Google to help you rank at a wider radius isn't just to pick the biggest cities around and make that one of your service areas. That doesn't necessarily, it's not going to do anything. What you have to do is tell Google, I want to rank just a little bit wider than where I'm currently ranking on the front of the Google map. Okay. So the best way to do this is to run a heat map and then look at the map to where you're falling off the front of the page. So if you're the top 3 listings, one of the top 3, you're on the front page. As soon as you hit 4 or 5, that means you're slipping off the front of the page of the map. Okay. And you want to put those service areas in to let Google know I'm drawing patients in from that area. Okay. Then you can, after you've done some optimization and you kind of see your report growing, you're starting to show for more, show at a wider radius, you can kind of change those service areas and move them out a little bit. But this is the best way to do it, rather than just saying, hey, I want to rank, 20 miles away in that great big city. It'll never happen. Okay. So you got to kind of play the game a little bit. So what I do is when I do this, I kind of like look inside these red circles that I've got here, and I would type in like Bent Tree South or whatever that is, and Plateau Wood, and those names that are on the map will auto populate in that service areas section, that field. This one here, everything that's on the map in the Google map is going to pull up inside of this search area. So you just kind of zoom in on where you're not ranking, and that's what you use. So what I recommend is run several of the heat maps. What you'll find is if I run like 7 or 8 or 9 heat maps for a practice, I'll notice that some of them are similar. They kind of rank kind of in the same pattern as other phrases. So I might run it for Invisalign and implants and dentists and family dentist or whatever it might be. And we'll start seeing kind of a pattern. You can kind of use that pattern as a way to help direct this, because this particular map is only for one keyword, right? Whatever keyword, I can't remember what I ran this one for, but that's how you do it. That's the best way to do it, is to take those service areas and match them against where you're just starting to lose front page results. Okay, so there's that heat map thing again. If you want us to run the heat map for you, I'll run as many as you want. Actually, I'll run up to 8, because it becomes a pain in the butt after a while. But I'll run several. Len, do you have anything to say about any of that? That the service areas, trying to rank for different areas? Anything you want to add? If you don't, not a big deal.
For rural you are, the further out you have to go. In larger cities, I think the focus should be within like 2 miles.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna be harder in bigger cities to go out a further distance and
yeah,
see results. So my focus when I talk about it is within a 2 mile radius of the practice. If you're in a large city, you may only be able to get a mile away, if that much.
right.
It's such an important thing that I talk about all the time as well.
Yeah. So it's so when I've done this research, we'll basically zoom in as close as we have to get till we start seeing some green or yellow or whatever, not just all red. And then we'll kind of like start zooming out on that as the practice gains momentum and starts ranking higher. So, and you are right. In rural areas, you might rank 20, 30, 40 miles out, right? I have a client in Brooklyn that, I think they're ranking about, it's literally like it's not even a half a mile. It's like 0.2, it's like 25% of a mile, but they're ranking really, really well. And but that's all they need, because everybody's just literally right there. So, all right. So, Len, what do you think about this slide, man?
I love that. I think that's great. Let me grab a picture of it.
I'll send it to you.
I
I
got it.
told my partner Blake, I said I need a slide for Len to give his BFFs, Raving Patients fans and whatnot, and the webinar registrants some kind of a discount on our Google Mass SEO service.
Nice job. I like
Anyway, so I had to make this. I thought it was funny. So anybody, if it's obviously we do this, we provide this service. If you're interested in it, we'll give you guys a good deal on it. Just fill out that form, and I'll make sure somebody gives you a call. All right, let's take some Q&As. So I actually have a question for you, Len. Let me look through. I'm going to ask you this question, then I'll read through some of these Q&As, and we'll go from there. So, Len, how much do reviews affect your ranking?
I think it's one of the biggest, if not most important ranking factor there is, simply because when someone's looking for, you have to, you talked about two different searches. You talked about the name, the branded search, and then just a location search.
Yeah.
Reviews play a role in that. They play a role in the ranking of the practice, but they also play a role in determining whether someone wants to come in the office. So if someone knows who you are and they look you up online and you don't have great credibility, or you have no credibility, or bad credibility, bad reviews, you may turn patients away, and they don't call you up on the phone and say, guess what? I'm not coming in. They just don't come in. So
Yeah.
you don't know what you're not losing. On the same note, there's a definitive link between having a consistent presence, having your ranking higher, but also the reviews are playing a factor in the patients making those decisions as well. So huge aspect to it. You have to make sure that that you have a consistent flow of reviews, at least one or two every single week. At least
Yeah.
your goal should be every.
Yeah, I would echo that. Um, I think I read some pretty in-depth reports about there's two aspects of the review. There's the social proof aspect, and the social proof aspect of Google reviews is undeniable. It doesn't matter what other kind of marketing you're doing. You could be doing the most amazing referral marketing campaign or print mail campaign or whatever, but more than half of the people that see whatever marketing you're doing are going to go check out your Google business profile and check out your reviews before they make a decision to call. So the social proof statement of reviews is huge. I would probably say, and I might diverge just a little bit from you. I don't think that reviews are the primary ranking factor. They might be like the third or the fourth. And if you were to talk about like, should I do this or should I do that? It's definitely high on the list, but I don't know if it's the most important. Would you disagree with me on that,
No.
Dan? Okay. It's vital though that you're getting reviews. And okay, I've got a question. Amy asked, I'm an orthodontic office with a name that is not our doctor's name. I am the primary owner of our Google business and use the practice name. Should I also create a doctor's name GBP? Good question. So, excuse me. Google's policy about practice listings and practitioner listings is that they recommend that you have one of each. Now, I think just because it's confusing to most dentists and business owners that they just merge those together and they just ignore it. They don't really even think about it. But if you think about it from the aspect of like the medical industry, right? This is how Google sees it. There's a business, a practice, could be a dental office, could be a physician's office, whatever it might be. There might be 20 doctors in there. Patients are going to not just search the practice's name, they're going to search their doctor's name. And so Google wants representation inside of the Google listing database for both the practice and the practitioner. I have had many doctors ask us to merge their practitioner listing into their practice listing, merge them and get rid of the practitioner listing. So they only have one listing. And the reason why usually is because they've got a bad review or, they just don't want to deal with it. They got a bad review on their practitioner listing. They did some work at a crazy patient. Who knows? That patient found their practitioner listing by searching their name and giving them a bad review online. My feeling is that if I were a dentist and I were trying to generate as many patients as possible, I would definitely have two listings. I would have the practice listing and a practitioner listing, and I'd get reviews on both of them, and I would optimize them for different keywords. Okay, I call my practice listing ABC Dental dentist in blah blah blah. I'd call my practitioner listing my name, cosmetic dentist in blah blah blah. Right. So that's how I would do it. So I hope that answers your question, Amy. My recommendation is before you create a practitioner listing on your name, search and see if there's already one out there. Google creates these listings automatically. They'll get like dental school student information. They'll get your business license information. They'll just create listings. There's a lot of them that are just floating around out there. So search your name in Google Maps before you go out and create one. There's probably one out there you can just go claim. Okay.
And by the way, Adrian, just so you know, if you have multiple doctors in the practice, you can't merge them into a single a single location. If you have multiple doctors, only a single doctor can merge their provider listing with.
Okay.
If you have multiple doctors at the practice, Google will not allow that.
Okay, cool. Good. I like that. All right, let me go scrolling down here. Okay. Amy asks another question. How does having a practice name and doctor listing affect Google reviews, etc.? It just means that if you're trying to get reviews, you're getting a review here and you're getting a review here. They don't correspond to each other. They don't share reviews. They're two separate independent listings, and you'll need to get reviews on both of them. Okay. And Len and both of our companies can help you with learning how to get more reviews. We've got some great tools and ways to do that. Daniela Garcia says, what about not having a location area? It is another strategy, isn't it? I have a competitor that doesn't have a location. So they're mobile. If they're mobile, they shouldn't be able to have an address. And so that's going to be really difficult for them to show up in Google Maps because Maps is a localized search result. I'm not, Daniela, if there is a practice that's a mobile practice that doesn't have a location, but they have an address, maybe they're using their home address or something like that. I don't believe that Google wants that. I think you could flag it and they would probably remove the listing or whatnot. But if you have more questions about that, if you have an example, you can email me and I'll take a look at it and see what I can find out. Oh, I can't see my cursor. Where'd it go? Okay, Amy's, let's see. Danielle says, do they focus nationally? I'm not sure what that question means. Do they focus nationally?
Well, I think she means, can you do a ranking nationally? And I would not, it has to be local search.
Oh, it's all local. Yeah. Yeah.
Local, no
Yeah.
national.
Yep. Kyla says, I press get your report, but my phone and nothing happens. Okay, Kyla, I'll make sure I reach out to you so that I can get you, if the link isn't working for some reason, I'll make sure I get you a thing. I'll reach out to you. All right, Danielle says, so then what is the order of priorities on GMB? I think she's asking what's the priority of ranking factors? I believe that's what the question is. I would say that and if this is in reference to the reviews, like how important are reviews in the ranking? Len might feel a little bit differently about this. It's not, nobody really knows for sure because Google doesn't reveal this information anyway. My feeling is that the number one ranking factor is the optimization of the Google business profile in your primary category. And then there's about 10 or 15 other things that you can do to make sure that it's optimized properly. The service areas are one of them. You can add services, you can add photos, you can do all sorts of stuff, which I will send out an additional webinar with more training about what you can do. I think that's number one. I would say number two is the strength of the SEO on your website. This is the gospel according to Adrian. Okay. This is not necessarily true. It's just what I think is right. Google looks at the strength of your website as an authoritative type aspect to ranking your Google business profile. If you've got no SEO on your website or you don't have a website, it's going to affect how well your Google business profile ranks. I would say reviews are probably third in there somewhere, how many reviews you're getting and how often you're getting those reviews. But this is in terms of ranking. When it comes to talking about what Len mentioned, which is the social proof capability of the reviews, I think that's absolutely more important than almost anything. Meaning, if you're just trying to what's the one thing that you could do to improve all of your marketing, reviews is probably it. It's because everybody goes, doesn't matter what you're doing, even if your patients are referring their friends and family to your office, they're going to go look at your reviews, right? You can't get away from it. So you need to have a really, really, really solid review profile. Did you want to say anything about that, Lynn?
No, I agree. I agree 100% with everything you said. So,
All right.
Sunny asked, is there a way to remove Google reviews? There is. That could be a whole other webinar.
It is.
There's a Google review tool that you can look up. Just look up Google Mover tool and Google search, and you can send the review that you want removed by Google. It is very difficult to get a Google review removed. They have to violate some of the policies, and you saying that they're not a patient is not going to get it down. I can tell you that right now. So they're not coming down. Any patient who has an interaction with the office, they do not technically have to be a patient. They could have called you on the phone and didn't like the way your front desk spoke to them. They can write a bad review about that, and you can't do anything about that. So that's just something there. But there is a way to remove reviews if Google agrees. It's the Google review remover tool. Just do a Google search for it.
Thank you. Sunny also asked, how do you merge a practitioner and practice listing? That's probably a whole other webinar. Sunny, if you if you want help, excuse me, if you want help doing that, you can reach out. If not, I would just do a Google search, how to merge my Google business profile practice listing with my Google business profile practitioner listing. And there are videos online that'll walk you through that. If you get lost, you can reach out to us. Mid asked, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice now. My apologies. My practitioner listing won't compete with my practice listing. Well, if both listings are optimized for the same keyword, so if you have your practice listing and your primary category is dentist, and your practitioner listing is dentist, then yeah, they would compete. But just remember that it's okay if they're competing, because at least one of them is showing up. That's what we want to have happen. But what I would do is I would not have the primary categories be the same. I would do my practice listing as dentist, my practitioner listing is dental implant provider or orthodontist if you do any orthodontic work or whatever. So I would optimize them differently. They'll show up for different keywords. Does adding procedures as products on the GPP matter? There's a place in the Google business profile you can add products that you sell. I would add procedures or services in the services section. Okay, so after you've chosen your primary category, you can add services underneath those. We didn't get to that in today's webinar, but it will be in the other when I send out. But I would recommend that you put your procedures or your services in the services section. And then if you have products that you're actually selling, put them in the product section. Shada says, Pedo startup, my practice hasn't opened yet. I have made my business profile, but it says not publicly visible. How do I fix that? Thank you for a great presentation.
That's a whole other webinar.
That's a whole, yeah, that's a whole nother. Shada, if you will email me your listing link, I don't know if you, or just shoot me an email. Let me take a look at it and see if I can figure out what's wrong with it. It might be because there's some date constriction in there, or they might not have fully authorized your listing yet. I don't know. I'd have to probably take a look at it. How do you recommend us getting more reviews? Go to Lens Supercharge your dental practice event. You need to ask for reviews.
or you can reach out to me as well, and I can.
Yeah, reach out to Len. We can help as well.
Yeah, either of us can assist with that.
All right. Ben asks, does Apple Maps use the same information as Google Maps, or we have to set up Apple Maps account the same way as Google? They're totally different, two different listings. One's in the Apple database, business database, and they actually use Yext reviews over there. And then there's the Google data. So they're two separate listings. And the optimization of the Apple Maps is a totally different animal. Any secondary category for pediatric? I don't know. I don't think that there is. I mean, I could go back to my list here. Let's just look at it really quick. I don't think there is really a good.
You just passed it, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm going back. It's trying to catch up. There it is. I mean, those are the 18 or so.
A pediatric dentist can use emergency dentist. They can use teeth whitening to do it.
Your teeth whitening emergency.
That's about it.
Yeah. Good question, Mitt. All right. So we are done. Those are all the questions. Len, you're a champ. I appreciate you helping out with this. There's my email again if you have any questions for me. I'm happy to go and dig into any of these problems you guys have run into or any other additional questions. Reach out to Len if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, especially reviews. He's kind of the reviews guru, And we appreciate your time. Len, do you want to say anything before we
No,
chime
I appreciate it.
out?
Anybody can contact me. I'm all over social. I have my Facebook. You can contact me in. I'll give you my email so you have it. It's Len, Len at drlentao.com, drlentao.com. And I appreciate everybody attending.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Talk to everyone soon. Adrian, thank you.